This video is for any musicians thinking of busking here in Brighton. Or maybe you're just somebody that wants to come and visit Brighton and know where to find some of the UK's best buskers. I'm gonna go through all of the rules, or should I say rules, and then I'm gonna take you to the best spots to busk here in Brighton. Or the best spots to find buskers, should I say. So first off, let's go through the rules. Here in Brighton and Hove, you do not need a busking license. Street performing is allowed on all public land. Unlike other cities, there are no designated spots, but there are well-known spots among the buskers where we all kind of tend to play. And later in this video, I'll be taking you to those spots. On the Brighton and Hove Council website, there is guidance for buskers. The key word to look at here is guidance. This does not say rules or laws, guidance. Number one is play at a reasonable volume. This is a no-brainer. Don't go and play really loud. I feel like, in my experience, most musicians know what a reasonable level of volume is. Two is avoid using amplifiers. Now, a key word I would say is avoid. I don't know a single busker, maybe bar one or two, that does not use amplification or a speaker. I think this kind of rounds back to the first guideline, and that is just make sure it's a reasonable volume. Some buskers say that if you're too quiet, it affects your donations because people just can't hear you. The third guideline is to stop performing when residents or businesses ask you to. Here, I would just say use your judgment as to whether they're really being reasonable or not. Some people just want to moan. It doesn't matter what's going on, they just want to moan. Some of those people are business owners or residents. If you've been in a spot for a couple of hours and someone asks you maybe could you go somewhere else for a bit, maybe that's fair enough. Some buskers I know and I've spoken to say the rule of thumb is if somebody is complaining about you, wait until the council or the security come down and tell you to leave, especially if they're just somebody that wants to moan. Don't overstay your welcome. They recommend moving every hour. But in my experience, an hour is quite difficult. It's actually quite a short amount of time. By the time you set up, got going, it's over very quickly. And sometimes the first 20 or so minutes of a busk are just sort of spent warming up and you haven't received any donations. And then the crowds start moving in and suddenly you're getting some. If you were to only do 1 hour, you wouldn't have a very big window of time where you were actually making moves, making donations, making people's day. I think the best amount of time is about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And here in Brighton, I think there's a lot of spots where that's totally possible, totally doable, and you're not gonna disturb anyone. No performing between 10 PM and 10 AM. I think this kind of goes without saying. Plus, there's probably no worth in performing in those hours. The last guideline is do not have drums, which is a little bit unfair on drummers. What they constitute as a drum, I'm not sure. But there are buskers in Brighton that use drums, that use drum kits, and they don't have any problems. As I said, this is highlighted as guidance. It doesn't say anywhere that these are the rules. I guess they're just there in the interest of the buskers, the shop owners, the residents, the businesses, to kind of all live in harmony. I would say that Brighton and Hove Council, it seems, want to support the arts and culture of this city. They understand it's an integral part of where we are. It's one of the main reasons people love this place. And if you're a moany shop owner, maybe you're just in the wrong city. All I would say on the shop owner front is don't preach that you support independent and local artists if you don't have a good time with buskers. So let me show you the best spots to busk or find buskers in Brighton.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the Pavilion Gardens. This is probably the busiest spot in terms of buskers, so I recommend sticking to the 1 hour, 1.5 hour here. The security do wander around and they will tell you to move on if you're taking too long. Just a beautiful spot. In the summer, this green gets filled with people, giving you kind of like an auditorium, and you'll perform just over here. So just over from the Pavilion Gardens is New Road. It's a great road because it's pedestrian only and cars don't really drive up and down here. Oh, there would be a car that comes down today. It's not so great because there are some shops, residential buildings, offices just over here that have been known to complain. My personal experience with this spot is it really goes off in the evening, especially with some of the bars down here. So maybe stick to the after office hours if you're gonna come here, or just the weekend. As far as spots go down this road, you can kind of pick anywhere that isn't part of a business, which is pretty much anywhere on the street. So just pick tactically. Welcome to the North Lane, or Gardner Street. This is an iconic part of Brighton, and it's rare you'll walk down here without hearing somebody playing. It's great for foot traffic, almost always busy, especially on the weekend. Though there's not heaps of space, and there's plenty of shops, so much better if you're a soloist and no more than one of you. This is definitely one for some lower volume stuff, although I've heard some pretty loud people here. In terms of where to go, I would say stick to Gardner Street or Sydney Street. Gardner Street sometimes closes to traffic, which means it's pedestrians only. In Kensington Gardens, the narrow road, don't go there. Way too narrow, way too close to the shops. I think you'd be moved on straight away. Welcome to a noisy Ship Street. Another great road for busking because there's no traffic. It's blocked off both sides. You might be familiar with this spot if you've seen any videos of buskers from Brighton, especially the ones that have millions and millions of views. There's been a few buskers filmed in this very spot whose careers have taken off just because they were filmed here. Again, there are some residential buildings and there are some shops, but from my experience, no one really gets that bothered. You are in the middle of town and it can get a little noisy. It's great if you need a lot of space, maybe you're a band, maybe you're more than one person, and if you're just here to spectate, then there is somewhere to stand and watch without having to worry about getting out the way of traffic. Where are all the buskers today? Can't find any buskers. Welcome to Churchill Square. Now behind me here is the Metro Bank, and this is where most people come here to busk. There's a reason why this is a good spot here in front of the bank, and that's because anywhere that is in between these bollards belongs to the shopping centre, so it doesn't actually count as public land. This is a great spot for foot traffic, but it is quite noisy because of the road. It's not my personal favourite. I'm not really sure why. I think it's because you can't see the sea. But definitely worth a go if you're here in Brighton, or if you're on the hunt for buskers, although I'm having absolutely no luck today. It's probably still too early. Welcome to the Old Pier. This is one of my favourite spots to busk. Here along the beachfront it gets really busy, lots of foot traffic, especially at the weekend, but it's reasonably busy at sort of any time. There's no worries about cars or traffic. You also get to look at the beautiful ocean as you play. Again, this is quite a busy spot for buskers, especially on the weekend, and you don't want to make nuisance for the music hall, which is just down here, which has regular live music. Some of the buskers even play there. And the last but not least, the iconic Upside Down House. This is a great spot for busking. Again, a bit like the Old Pier. There's no worries for traffic, there's plenty of people, and you're nice and far away from anyone to be making any disturbance. Here on the weekend, it gets really busy, and I guess that means it's busy for buskers, and if there is a few buskers up and down the seafront, it can encourage some competition, and it means the money isn't always so good. But if you're just here for a good time and to play and earn a little bit, this is a great spot. I should probably mention that the weather is hit and miss here. It gets very windy some days, but you can usually take shelter underneath the house. Okay, a quick bonus spot for you. Let's keep this one between you and me. When all of the other spots are taken and it's a busy weekend, I like to come here on Hove Lawns. This promenade fills with people. And you do not have to worry about disturbing residences, shops, businesses, because you're nowhere near any of them. It's not that great during the week because there's not that many people here. But on the weekend, this is a great little secret. Woo! Now, wasn't that a lot of fun? I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful in some way. If you are a busker and you're thinking of coming down here to Brighton and you need any more tips, advice, or just want to hang out, then hit me up. Give me a message or drop a comment below. And if you're thinking of coming to Brighton to see some of the best street entertainment, then maybe head to the Brighton Beach Busking channel and you can get a flavour for what you're coming to see. I am August Radio Project. I make videos every week, so maybe consider subscribing and clicking that notifications bell. Like this video if you did like it, and I will see you next week.